I need to ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with it for a moment before we go any further. What would you do every day in retirement if you gave yourself permission to actually enjoy it? Most women I work with have never been asked that question, to be honest. Not by their financial advisor, not by their HR department, not by their family, not by anyone. And that silence, that gap between preparing financially for retirement and preparing personally for it, that is where I see so many women get lost. Not because they made the wrong decision or because their money didn't work out, but because nobody ever helped them answer the question that matters most. After years of helping women get educated and navigate retirement, every single conversation I have, no matter the financial situation, no matter the account balances I see, no matter the income plan or the lack of an income plan, eventually everyone comes back to the same place. A woman sitting across from me, typically on Zoom or on a call with me, saying some version of this: I thought I'd feel free, but I kind of feel lost. Or this: I'm busy, but none of it feels like it means anything. These are not women who failed at retirement. These are women who never properly prepared for it. The financial world has been pretty good at helping people grow their money, grow their 401ks. Where I see kind of a void is helping people understand how to take that money and turn it into retirement income. So going from retirement savings to retirement income. And I also see a gap on connecting that money and that meaning. And I think that void, that silence, has a cost. And that cost is what today's video is about. By the end of this video, you are going to know the one question that changes everything about how you find purpose in retirement, why most women have never been asked it, and what that gap costs them, why purpose doesn't appear automatically just because your calendar clears, and the specific steps you can take starting this week to begin finding your answer, no matter where you are in the retirement journey. So let's start with the gap nobody talks about. Here's something the retirement industry almost never says out loud. You can have a fully funded retirement and still feel completely empty inside. That's not a money problem. That's a purpose problem. And it's far more common than most women realize. Here's why it happens. Work, for all its frustrations, all its demands, all the mornings you didn't want to go, was quietly providing something that had nothing to do with your paycheck. It was providing purpose, a reason to show up, a place where your skills were used, a contribution that extended beyond yourself, a daily sense that your time was pointed at something that mattered. Most women don't realize how much they were relying on that until retirement removes it. And then one day, they're sitting in a beautiful, quiet, open morning with nowhere to be and nothing required of them. And instead of feeling free, they feel unmoored. That feeling, it has a name. It's called the purpose gap. And it's one of the most common and least talked about experiences of early retirement. Before I give you the question, I want to make sure you understand what you're actually solving for. Because most women, when they think about purpose in retirement, think about staying busy, taking up hobbies, volunteering, traveling, filling the calendar. And while all those things can be truly wonderful, busy is not the same as purposeful. I see this all the time. A woman retires, she fills her schedule, she's active and engaged in doing things, and she still feels like something is missing because what she's missing isn't activity, it's meaning. And meaning can come from something specific that work was providing. Let me break it down. Work gave you a contribution that extended beyond yourself. Every day, something happened, something got done, someone was helped, something moved forward because you were there. Your presence had impact beyond your own life. Work gave you a place where your skills were visibly valued. You were good at something. People knew it. You knew it. And that daily recognition, even the quiet, unspoken kind, said something important. And work gave you a daily answer to a question most of us are always quietly asking ourselves. Am I doing something that matters? Something that counts? In retirement, that question doesn't disappear. It just stops getting answered automatically. And the women who thrive in retirement, the ones who describe it as the best chapter of their lives, are the one who found a new way to answer it, not through a paycheck or someone else's definition of useful, but through their own honest answer to the right question. Here it is. Drum roll. The question that changes everything. What would I do with my time if I already knew it mattered? I want you to hear that again. What would I do with my time if I already knew it mattered? Not what should I do in retirement, not what is practical, not what will keep me busy, but this question. What would I do if I already knew it counted? Now, let me tell you why this question is different from every other retirement planning question you've been asked. First, it bypasses the productivity trap. Most women have been conditioned for their entire adult lives to believe that what matters is what produces something, what earns money, what serves someone else, what is useful in a visible, measurable way. And so when you think about purpose in retirement, they immediately start filtering their answers through that lens. Is it productive enough? Is it serious enough? Does it count? This question removes that filter entirely. It doesn't ask, is it productive? It asks, if you already knew it mattered, what would you do? Second, it bypasses the permission trap. A lot of women are waiting for permission to pursue the thing they've been thinking about for years, but always dismissed as too small, too selfish, or not serious enough. This question gives you the permission before you even answer it. It says, assume it matters. Now what? Third, it bypasses the practicality trap. Most planning questions send women straight into problem-solving mode. But how would I do that? Is it realistic? What would it cost? And those questions, as important as they eventually are, kill the honest answer before it has a chance to emerge. This question asks you to answer before you edit yourself. Dream first, figure out the practical later. Here's the difference in plain terms. Most women ask, what should I do in retirement? That question keeps you stuck because should comes loaded with obligation, practicality, and other people's expectation. This question sets you free because it starts with you, what you actually want, with the truth before the editing begins. I want to pause here for a moment because I know that for some women, this question brings up something really unexpected. Maybe it brings up relief. Finally, someone is asking me what I want. Maybe it brings up confusion. Oh my goodness, I genuinely don't know how to answer that. And that scares me a little, or maybe even a lot. Maybe it brings up something that feels almost like grief. I've spent so long doing what was needed from me. I'm not sure I know what I actually want anymore. All of these responses are valid. All of them are more common than you know. And all of them are exactly why I built my More for Her collective. Because figuring out who you are in retirement, what you want, what matters to you, and what kind of life you actually want to build, that is not something you should have to figure out all alone. Inside my collective, we walk you through what I call the Know Yourself module. It's a step-by-step planning phase, helping you understand your retirement identity, your values, your vision, and your starting point before we ever even get to the numbers. You can access a free preview using the first link in the description below. Now, let me talk about why this question is so hard to answer at first, because understanding that makes it much easier to work through. If you sat with that question and drew a blank, I want you to know something. This is not a sign that you don't have purpose. That is a sign that you have spent a very long time answering other people's questions instead of your own. There are 3 specific reasons this question feels hard at first. And I want to name all 3 because naming them is the first step to moving through them, okay? Reason 1. Decades of conditioning. Most women have spent their entire adult lives doing what was needed, what the job required, what the family needed, what the situation demanded. The idea of sitting with a question that starts with, what do I want, genuinely, without immediately filtering it through what is practical or useful or expected, can feel almost foreign. And that's because you've spent so long putting them second that you've lost the habit of listening to them first. Ladies, this is not a flaw. It's what decades of showing up for everyone else does to a person. And in retirement, for the first time, gives you the space to reverse it. Reason 2, the productivity trap. I touched on this earlier, but I want to go a little deeper. Many women cannot give themselves permission to value something unless it produces a visible result, unless it earns money, helps someone, creates something tangible. And so when they think about what they should do if they knew it mattered, they immediately start disqualifying the answers. Oh, that's just a hobby. That's not a purpose. Oh, that's selfish. That doesn't help anyone. That's too small. It doesn't count. But here's what I want you to hear. Purpose and productivity are not the same thing. Purpose is the feeling that your time is pointed at something that matters to you. It does not require an audience or a salary. A woman who spends 3 hours a week teaching her granddaughter to cook has found purpose. A woman who tends a garden that only she sees has found purpose. Because the question isn't whether it produces something for the world. The question is whether it produces something for you first. Reason 3, fear of the answer. Some women are afraid to sit with this question honestly because they're not sure they'll like what comes up. What if the answer is something I can't do anymore? What if I don't know who I am without my work? Those fears are real. Not knowing the answer is not a failure. It's the most honest starting point there is. You cannot build a retirement identity on a lie. You can only build it on a truth, even when the truth is, I don't know yet. I don't know yet is a beginning, not a verdict. Let me give you something practical to do with all of this. These are what I call your lady steps. Small actions that help you start finding your answer. Not all at once, one step at a time. Step 1, get a piece of paper, grab a pen, write the question at the top of a blank page. What would I do with my time if I already knew it mattered? I want you to set a timer for 10 minutes. Write whatever comes up. No editing, no filtering, no crossing things out because they seem too small or too silly or not serious enough. Just write. The first answers may surprise you. Let them. Step 2, look at what you wrote and circle the things that have nothing to do with being useful to someone else. The things that are purely for you. What's left is the beginning of your answer. Step 3, think back to the last time you genuinely lost track of time. Not because you were busy, but because you were absorbed. What were you doing? Who were you with? What were you creating, experiencing, or exploring? That absorption is one of the most reliable signals of where your purpose lives. Step 4, write down one thing you've been telling yourself you will do when you have time. Write it down. Give it a name. Make it real on the page. Step 5, take my retirement persona quiz because understanding your retirement identity type and personality, the kind of person you naturally are in this chapter, gives you a framework to build from. The link to the quiz is in the description. And let me tell you about a woman I worked with. Let's call her Margaret. Margaret was 64, widowed. She'd spent 26 years as a school principal, a career she deeply was proud of and genuinely good at. She had run schools, managed staff, shaped communities. She was, by every measure, someone who knew how to lead. Financially, Margaret used the More for Her collective and figured out how to get to a stable, sustainable place, a place that she understood. So from the financial perspective, her plan was solid and we didn't really see any money problems. But within 4 months of retiring, I checked in with her and she was describing retirement as feeling like waiting. She couldn't name what she was waiting for. She had tried to keep busy. She joined a book club. She visited family. She redecorated a room in her house. She was busy, but I wouldn't say she was purposeful. And the longer it went on, the more she started questioning herself. So she asked me, do you think there's something like wrong with me? I worked so hard to get here. Why doesn't it feel like I thought it would? Well, nothing was wrong with Margaret. What was missing was the question. Because Margaret, like so many women that I've talked with and educated and had come through my platform, had spent her entire adult life answering other people's questions. What does the school need? What do the teachers need? What do the students need? I don't think anyone had ever asked her, what do you need? What would you do if you already knew it mattered? So we sat with the question together. I posed it to her and I asked her to do the work to answer it. One question. And what came up for Margaret, slowly, quietly, with probably more than a little embarrassment at first, was this. Margaret had always wanted to mentor first-generation college students, young people who were first in their families to go to university, who had nobody in their corner who understood what they were navigating. She had thought about it for years, and every time she'd kind of dismissed it. That's not a real thing. That's just an idea. Who am I to think I could make a difference in that space? But when I asked her, what would you do if you already knew it mattered? That was the answer that came. So we stopped dismissing it. She found a program, she got involved, she started showing up. Nothing about her financial circumstances changed. What changed was that she finally asked herself the right question, and she was brave enough to listen to the answer. Here's what I want you to take away from today. Purpose in retirement is not something you find. It's something you remember. Once you finally give yourself permission to ask, it's always in you. The career, the obligations, the decades of doing what was needed, they didn't erase it. They just made it quiet. Retirement is your chance to listen again. If you're approaching retirement or already in it and you've spent more time planning your finances than planning what your days are actually going to feel like, this is where to start. Not with a spreadsheet, with a question. What would you do with your time if you already knew it mattered? Sit with it. Write it down. Let it be messy and uncertain and honest. And if you want a structured place to work through it, my retirement persona quiz is the perfect first step. In 5 minutes, it will tell you your retirement identity type and exactly where to focus first. That is the second link in the description. And if you're ready to go deeper, to build your retirement vision inside a collective of women who are doing exactly the same work, preview the More for Her collective for free using the first link below. Because you have spent decades doing what was needed from you. Now it's time to build something for yourself, and it starts with asking the right question. Both links are in the description. Start wherever feels right.